Good evening. You know, when I started thinking about the shop stool, which is something I've thought about a lot, because look, I bought these cheapos years ago. They've held up great. They're just a flat butt joint up here with screws run in at an angle. So then you've got these rungs or stretchers that are just drilled right in there. So it's held up nicely, but it's not really a craftsman's stool, right? So I've had this for a long time. It's about time we make something that's respectable. I've admired a number of stools that people have made over the years. One by my friend around the corner, David Lamb. He's a really great furniture maker. If you want to check him out, go to FurnitureMasters.org. People who've been at it for a while. It's about 20, 25 of us in the group, and you can click on and look at different work on that site. It's really a great resource to see things. Now, I don't think David posted his shop stool up there. It's just this cool little thing. It looks almost like it's bony and but it's classic. It's warm. It's got character, sort of like the one that I'm going to show you today. But anyway, this I found in my library upstairs. These are 3 walnut blanks like this I have, and this is from David's class 10 years ago or more, I don't know. He had like this seat of walnut. Now that's not the shape, that's the rough blank, but this was large enough to cut out the shape that he had. Very shallow, like 7.5 as I remember, in the back. Look, I've got a couple others here. There's another blank. I didn't give this to a student because of that knot. And then this one, I noticed I had my greedy little name on it. I must put that on. I squirreled this away because I wanted it for just the right time. And you can tell why, because it's got wild figure. There's a crotch figure here and angular grain. I'm not so sure it's all that stable, but shaped up and finished, it would probably be an exceptionally beautiful seat. Now, this side is better because we could hide those knots on the bottom. But check that out. There's like this feathery grain coming across, this swirl here. Beautiful walnut seat. It's a warm look. But you know what looks even better about it is when you combine it with white oak. White oak for the base pieces is really almost magical combination. You know, Pug Moore used to say to me how much he loved this combination. I didn't appreciate it right away, but as time's going on, it's because they relate so well. It's like you have this light kind of wheat-colored warmth with the white oak, and then you have this golden brown, like this brown, and then as it ages, it mellows out. The walnut is wonderful, and you end up with this beautiful combination. So that's what we're going to do, is make that combination. That's what David did for the class too. This is not a piece from the stool. I just wanted you to see a piece of white oak. And if I threw some finish on there, you'd appreciate it even more. I didn't want to try to recreate exactly David's, and there was some things about it I felt like I should make my own and feel my way along and develop my own chair, rather than copy someone else's. This chair, if you decide to build it along with me, there'll be opportunities in it to customize it and tailor and shape the seat however you want. You can personalize it. You can do different things. You could structure the bones similar, but that's going to be the way it goes. Now, it might sound like I'm starting the course tonight, but I'm not. I'm trying to show you, like, pull back the curtain. This is how I get ready for a course. Like, I got to come up with this thing, and I'm excited. I probably like the design process more than anything, and the making and getting in there and figuring it out and then changing it up and sculpting it, making it personal. And oftentimes the first rendition is not the final. It's like you get it and you go, I wish I did that differently oh, that looks a little chunky, that doesn't feel right. And I expect that's going to happen. So I'm going to show you the feel-along process I go with before, so that I land in the best spot with the least amount of disappointment. Here's a little inspiration. I hope we can pick it up on my phone. This one I discovered. I loved it. It kind of, the way the top just looks almost like, it looks so sweet, like it's almost draped. I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like fabric laying there, you know, liquidy, the way he shaped it. This is by Wharton Esherick. Yeah, I almost put the T in there.
I'll pull back.
Wharton Esherick was, I think he was born in 1886, and he died in 1970. He is considered the founder of the studio furniture movement in our country. So it was kind of like makers going back to like one of a kind, these individual art pieces, making these art pieces. It was kind of a reaction. You had the craftsman period, and then you had the Danish modern was about to begin, and he was kind of sandwiched right in between there. So you had Shaker was around. People were seeing that, the clean lines, and the craftsman style. The Stickleys were doing their thing. So the earliest work of Wharton Esherick was craftsman type things. He was doing that. And then he considered himself an artist. You know, we talked about that before. A sculptor. And he got trained as a painter. Then he got into sculpting. And he was working with sculpture. And something happened along the way where he picked up wood as his medium. And he began to sculpt and make objects, not only beautiful, but of practical value. What I like about this stool, it appears, I'm almost certain, he used the same combination. He's got walnut for the top, for certain, and the legs have that amber kind of wheat warm color that looks so sweet with walnut. So he's got 3 stretchers or rungs, and everything's round, and everything is turned on a lathe, and they're at different heights going around. So by doing that, he's not weakening the leg by putting them too tightly together, because you're drilling actually a through mortise, a hole right through, and then he's wedging them on the outside. So he's got 3 rungs. I like that, but I'm not crazy about it, okay? I also kind of want one of them to be a footrest that you can put your foot up on if you want, even though we're building a low stool. I was thinking that it'd be nice to get down here. A lot of times I find myself doing that, and I thought it'd be nice to have a rung that was shaped and dedicated a little more like that. Now here's another stool that I'm drawing the influence from, and this one's from George Nakashima. He came after Wharton Esherick and was influenced by him. Very flat, no sculpting to the top at all, just a triangular shape, pretty cool. And what I like about this, and what I want to incorporate into ours, is the stretcher system. Rather than going into all 3 legs, to have a singular one joining a back leg. And use that front piece that crosses between 2 legs, that will actually be the front. And that rail will be a little heavier, but he's got like an impression like in the middle, like a little pond. And then he's got the sides just sort of drape over really cool. And it comes down to a very thin edge. So, I'm just going to go through the process I've been mulling over and some things I did today to get this idea ready. When I sketch, they tend to be tight and small. I don't know why. I feel like I can draw things in proportion that way better, and I can quickly get my ideas down. Now, even though that's small, I was just going for, okay, what's the appropriate splay on these front legs? You know, it's like, that's always the question, like, how much splay do I put on these legs? Like, what would be appropriate for a stool or a Windsor chair or whatever it is? And they varied a lot. You know, like the splay on this, I think it's about 7 degrees. And that felt, I wanted a little more than that. I looked at a lot of stools. I looked at Wharton Esherick's and I'm like, I like that splay that he had in the front. So when I sketched that, I said, I actually like that for the splay. So I drew a little line across the bottom of this sketch, believe it or not, and I put a protractor on there and got the angle, and believe it or not, both of those legs are at 9 degrees. And I had just read an article last night on that Peter Galbraith did on making a Windsor-style stool in a recent, I guess it was about a year or two ago, Fine Woodworking. They put a sweet little bend on the bottom of the foot. That's a great stool, too, if you want to make a Windsor style. But that wasn't a shop stool. That was more of like a home type thing. I noted in the article, his legs were splayed at 9.5 degrees for that stool. And so it's weird that my little scratch, which I had done a few days before, I decided, that's it. I'm going for 9 degrees on my front splay and just see how it looks. That's basically a starting point. So once I had this, I decided the height would be, I like this height. It works well for my bench. It's 24 inches. My bench height is 34.5. You know, around 34 is a good bench height. The stool height is 24. I like that. So I wanted to be right in that range. Now, I want to sculpt my seat a little deeper. This is the flat seat. So I decided to go 24.5 with the seat. And then I figured sculpting, I'll be sitting at 24. So David's blanks that we used for the course were 1 5/8 inches thick. So I thought, that'll work. I'll start there. I might have to get 8/4. I might be able to find some 6/4 that's that heavy. Actually, these might be closer to 1 3/4 inches. Yeah, they are. Okay, so maybe 1 3/4 inches we start with, okay? I figured that, and then I take my little information like that, and I like to draw it to scale. So I also decided I would make the seat 13 inches wide. This is rough 13.5, but this stool's plenty wide for me, but look, we're gonna be even wider than that. I wanted to add a little depth to it because this has to be practical for a lot of people. We're not all the same size, relatively speaking. Rather than 7.5, I decided to start out and go 9 inches deep. Now that's not still a really deep seat, but it is considerably deeper. And what I'm doing is drawing and kind of feeling my way along. I'm not anticipating, this might be perfect from the beginning, but I'm not that tight and worried to get perfection right now. I just wanted to gather all the information I could, make my stylistic choices, and get them down now to scale. Okay, and then we're going to build a prototype in poplar. And then I could shape and mess around with that and get it to feel right, tweak that before I ever make the first one in the good wood, the white oak and the walnut. All right? So let me show you my little sketch. I did this to scale, and I can see some things right about it that I'm going to change a little. But here's the front view. So look at this is a 9-degree splay. And that's what I do is to assist me when I'm drawing little things like this. Let me show you what I do. I like this little board because I got this a while back. I one time tried to have a drafting board, but it was so big and took up so much room. A lot of times you've seen me draw on MDF, but when I draw to scale, I use this little guy. It's pretty sweet. And I just want to get it to scale and see if it feels right and get some of the dimensions down before I transfer it into a full-size drawing. and then from the full-size drawing, I'll make my prototype or my mock-up, okay? So in order to get these angles, what I do is I just take some thin plywood and make some cuts, and let's see. All right, this is cut to, sorry, this is my 99 degrees or 9-degree angle off of 90. So there was a center line there, but I took that away, and then I drew like the heaviness here. Now, so that has a 9-degree slope, and the front leg, I was going to go straighter up and make a 6, but it didn't feel right. So the 9, not to overcomplicate, I went with the 9 there as well. Now, because we have a shallower seat, I wanted to have that back singular leg rake back a little stronger and see how that looks. I think I'll like that. So that's actually sweeping back pretty strong at a 15-degree or 75-degree angle, okay, off of square. So it's sweeping out 15 degrees off 90. So those are the only angles we're going to be dealing with here. We've got 9, and then we've got 15 for the back. And we've got our seat. You can see I've made the locations here already. I was coming in from the angles of my seat. And this is kind of how I'm thinking I'm going to shape my seat. This is 13 by 9. And then the front view, I've got that Wharton Esherick, can't I say that right? I always put that T in there. I got that Wharton Esherick shaping, and I'm going to have a little shaping. I don't know, I'm losing my mind. Can't even talk. But in the shaping process, I want to have a nice kind of soft edge like he did. Get it down so it looks really thin. That actually starting out at 1 5/8. So we've got a lot of shaping to do there. Okay, so everywhere I've got like 9-degree angles. So I'm going to start with a square, and what I'm thinking is everything will be square to start. All my stock, my legs are going to be 1 3/8 square. So I can get that out of 6/4 white oak. And my rungs are going to be 1 inch square. Now they're going to start off 1 inch square, but all the joinery will be cut while they're square, and then once the joinery is cut, you can cut us loose, and we're going to do some shaping. We're going to taper them a little bit. We'll chamfer the corners, create like an octagonal thing, and then we're going to really do some spoke shaving and make those textured and really sweet. So that's the plan. That's what I'm looking forward to do. So we'll have some fun spoke shave using here, and some wedge through tenons. So you don't need to learn to turn if you don't know already. I just wanted to bypass that. I know a number of you can, and maybe you'll choose to take the design and just, if you like everything about it, but that, you can just turn round tenons, like the George Nakashima chair. All right, so let me show you what I did with the drawing, and then we'll see if we can, I did make some parts, and we'll try to screw this thing together and get a look at our mock-up in this early stage. Okay, I know the pencil lines are really light. I'm going to darken some in here so you can see them. But this is what I do. I just take the paper, and this is not obviously for the final drawing. This is a working drawing. I already got a hole in it. When I make the final drawing, I'm going to really do it nicely.
I don't know if this is visible very well.
Okay, I'll make some lines a little better. But anyway, I measured up and I make a line at 24, and then I made this. This is a center line for the leg, and that's at, this is 9 degree, my 9-degree angle, okay? And then I had another one over here, same thing, the center line, and that's 9 degree, okay? Now, I wasn't sure about the thickness of these legs to go with at first, but after looking at a lot of them, I'm thinking that's pretty good. And I might have to start out a little thicker, we'll see. But check this out. I actually made some patterns from a real Canterbury shaker rocker, which we're going to do at some point. I want to do it in collaboration with the Canterbury Shaker Village. But I think it's the most beautiful rocking chair. It is the most beautiful over there. And I had it long enough where I made some sample parts exactly like the original. So I got to thinking, after I had drawn this, man, I wonder what those legs are, because those have stood up a long time and they have 5/8 inch round tenons drilled into all of them, where the stretchers are there. So this is a little detail of the finial and the back leg, the upper portion of that rocker. This is the classic Canterbury shape of finial. And this is the arm post in the front. So this will be back here, and this supports the arm, and that's the way it's done. Nice little turned spot there. But these posts, these dimensions, I measured them with the calipers, are, I think it's right at 1 3/8. Okay, so that's hitting perfect. Let's see what it is. It's right at 1 3/8. So we actually have the perfect size, I think. We'll start out with that. That's going to be here. And then we're going to taper after we get all our joinery in. All right? You're probably not seeing this really well, so I won't spend much time here. But the lines are here. I decided to make that footrest stretcher to step up to be centered 6.5 inches off the floor. That felt like a good height, and it looks nice on the chair. This is the front view. You can see those two lines. The seat is here. I know it's very light. I started to draw in the sculpting here and how I'm thinking it's going to be, but that's later. And then this is the profile view. So the seat's that's 9 inches from there to there. And this is the center of the front leg coming out at 9 degrees. And then right down here, this is a side view of the front stretcher that goes between the two. It's going to start out square, but I'm making it like 1 inch and almost 3/4, 1 5/8. And it's going to be oriented that way, so the tenon will be cut right in. This is the center of the leg, actually. So it's going to be pushed forward, and we're going to shape that so it sticks out a little more as a nice footrest. This will be sculpted down. We're going to have some fun. We're going to really sculpt this thing and make it so no two are alike, just like Wharton Esherick. That was the genius of his chairs. He would cut the seats out a little different all the time. They all have their own unique personality, but they're clearly from his hand. So we're going to do a similar thing with our chair. Well, I went and I marked the width of all these, and I took measurements from my full-size drawing now, drawn pretty carefully with the right angle and everything, and I was able to size some pieces. I just had to figure out that outer length of the front leg, and it was 23 3/16 from that long point right up to where it meets the seat. But I have that 9-degree angle in both directions. So it's 9 degrees coming out forward, and it's 9 degrees going this way, and I cut that on my table saw sled. So I just took some wood that's not super precious to me. I had some basswood over there. You could use poplar, pine, whatever, just to make the mock-up. So I'm going to screw this together. It's not the keeper. But I got my legs sized. So here's my front legs. I got that measurement right off the drawing, and I already cut the 9-degree angle in both directions on the top and the bottom. So the splay will be right, and it should fit nicely there. Now the nice thing about doing the mock-up, you don't even have to care about the tenons. You don't have to factor in the extra length of the tenons on the end of the leg. So no worries there. And I marked out on the bottom where that lower front stretcher is going to go, that footrest. So those are my front legs. And then here's my back, and this has the 15-degree angle on it. And I've got marked already. I took these pencil marks right off the drawing. That's the beauty of a full-size drawing, as you probably have discovered already. I took this piece and I laid it on the drawing after I had it cut, and I was able to just transcribe the little locations of the stretcher on there. When you're dealing with angles, it's really helpful to have a full-size drawing. That's why I recommend it for building dining chairs. It's really a wonderful tool. And this is going to be more complicated than I thought at first with the tenons, so definitely worth having the full-size drawing to build this thing. But this is the angle we'll start with, and we don't have to factor in the tenon at the top. But that's the back leg. And then these are the stretchers that I got right off of the drawing as well. This is the front. You would think it'd be longer than this, right? But this is the front footrest. It's that large. It's only about 12 inches, a little over. It's 12 3/8 long to the long point there. And this is the mark. Actually, I'm going to have this, my center stretcher going back to the back leg. So I have my 9-degree angle here, and I have a 15-degree angle on the back. All right, so let's pop this together. I'm going to put on my safety glasses because we don't have to be fancy about this. We're going to use a pin nailer and screw it together. I'm going to get my tools to do this quickly. I got my drill. I got my screws ready here, and my drill to drill the pilot holes, Phillips head, and I'm ready to rock. I think it's better to do this, put the stretchers together first, and then I'll get it between the front and then to the back, and then at that point we'll be able to attach it to the seat. So let me get my little pin nailer out. Okay, so I'm just going to put that in position, and I'll take my pin nailer. This has little 23 gauge nails. They're really thin. You know, if you happen to miss, or once in a while they might get in your hand. It's like acupuncture. It makes you feel good. Just kidding. I have never got one in my
back a little bit.
All right, so that's pretty strong already. I feel like I should run a screw in there though, so let's put one in kind of at an angle here. Little pocket screw. It's weird how strong that feels though. I think that's all we need is something going in at an angle like that. Did I go too deep for the 1 5/8? No, that'll work. All right, that's good. Perfect joint, huh? Is this fine woodworking or what? All right, now that one's done. Now let's go ahead and get our others in. Now this one is going to set in here and be a little forward. If it was a square, if it was the inch square, I would have a little room. I want to leave room in the back here because this is going to get chamfered off, and then this is also going to get narrower there. So this will taper, and we'll leave room for flat in the middle. So I don't want to go all the way back here, or I'll have to do too much changing of this. I want this to maintain as if it was a 1-inch square. It'll be 3/16 off the back. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to check this for square. I got pencil lines there, but just having the square helps a little bit. That's good.
Ouch, Scott.
What? Did he get one?
18 gauge nailer, Brad nailer the night before his wedding.
Oh gosh, I hate that. Hope it wasn't on his ring finger. Was it? That'd be a bummer. All right, so.
Another guy, Chuck, did that too.
Oh no, here we go. We're going to start getting all the injury stories.
Oh.
Sorry, that's a little loud. There we go. Now we got 2 joints. Let's get this one in. Okay, that's it right there. So everything's so square, but we're going to have some fun after getting it shaped up. Missing the NFL draft right now. With no sports on TV, it's like the most exciting thing. I know we have people from all over the country. Probably got your favorite teams. We try not to talk about our team too much. We know how people...
Probably in for a humbled year, I think.
Yeah. People aren't big fans of the Patriots in the country. But I feel like I'm a good fan because I went through the hard years when they were really bad. All right, check that out. We got the front starting to take shape. Now we just got to get this back leg on. This is how they make them cheap in China. They just bang them together like this. You get a nice assembly line, and boom. All right, so let me get this centered there. That looks pretty good.
Yes, Michael, we're a little in mourning about that.
What, Tom Brady? I'm actually excited for him. I think it'll be fun to watch him on another team.
And the Gronk.
All right, one more here. I think these pin nails, they're easier to pull out too later. And so rather than the 18 gauge, it seems like the way to go. And let's run this screw in. All right, check it out. So this is a little exaggerated here right now, you can see, but that'll get shaped. Now let's attach it to the top. Like I haven't, this is my block. This is 13 by 9, no shaping yet, but let's just get it on the base and take a gander. I made some guidelines here where the leg should hit based on the drawing. So these lines were taken right off the drawing, the front view, and this is the, let's just use my finger as a square. Come down here, that's that distance. Get this one. Using my middle finger there as a fence. Let's see, get that, come on up. So right about there. And then the back, I got two lines here right off the drawing. This will be, whoops, right in the middle, and right here. This is easier when it's closer. Okay, and the center line is right there. So let's bring that forward. Bring that back. So if that's the center line, then let me see, I got a little gauge on here. This is the 1 3/8. I made this little template so I could draw things quickly. Always breaking that 5 mil. A little too intense for that. All right, there you go. Wait, why did I do that? Oh, this is actually further in. Okay, so that's my leg right there. Let's see how it matches up when we pop our fine furniture on here. Hey, not too bad. Look at that. Pretty close. So let's just tack that in. Tack this one. Just following the drawing. That's kind of reassuring because when it gets time for the square joints, these are definitely going to have to match. Okay, there we go. All right. I'm going to throw in a screw here. one here.
Yes, you guys, there will be full-size plans.
Yeah, I'll let you know. They're not ready yet, obviously.
And yes, Chuck, this is the prototype.
I think you're gonna like it. And
This is the prototype.
yeah, I'm gonna have some fun on this because this is a little more like Wharton Esherick. It's more sculptural than.
Oh, goodness.
Sorry, I pushed the leg back a little
Turn
bit,
that down.
but I think that'll be okay. All right, I'm gonna do that noise again. But only twice. And then we're gonna try it out. And last one. All right. The angles all work pretty nice. Here it is. Do I sit on it? Do I dare? This thing's golden and it's not even joined together. Check it out. I like this. Whoops. Has a little turn to side side. Those joints aren't quite right. But that's a good footrest right there. That'll be actually turned down a little bit. And we'll mess around with it. So we'll get our sculpting here. These are going to be much narrower. What I plan to do is leave it full here. We'll create an octagon, close to an octagon. And so this is going to come in and come back, so it'll be further out in the front. And then that will taper down, so it'll be narrower as you get up closer here. Same thing here. So these legs are all going to be shaped, and then they'll be heavy here, and then it'll go down to a taper here. So what's nice is I can play around with this to shape these legs up a little bit, and then put it together again. I'll run screws in, and then when I pull it apart, I'll get rid of those pin nails, and I'll be able to screw it together easy next time. Please, if you like these videos, please subscribe. You've been watching long enough. Mash that subscribe button. And then there's the ringing the bell and sharing and liking as well. Thanks for joining me on Shop Night Live.
Yes, Tuesday nights and Saturday mornings, we will be doing the shop sessions on the shop stool. 10 a.m. on Saturday and 8 p.m. on Tuesday night.
Eastern time.
Eastern time. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.